And then it's Abubedu Lancer. Thanks for your company. Majority Leader Osei Mensah has hinted the Attorney General will submit the bill on political party vigilantism or militias to Parliament next week. He says this and other businesses may force the House to adjourn sitting on April 12 instead of the expected April 5. Meanwhile, Energy Minister Peter Amewu is on the floor delivering a statement on what he says is a sabotage of the nation's power grid. Earlier this week, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our parliamentary correspondent, joins us on the line with some details. Give us some details on this bill expected to be delivered by the AG next week, Joseph.
He didn't, the majority leader, didn't give any specific details. It mainly came up in the conversation having to do with why the House has to adjourn on the 12th instead of the 5th. And he said that one of the reasons is that this is a bill that they are waiting to come before the House before they will go ahead and adjourn sitting. And he knows the Attorney General is working on that, as well as a different bill having to do with tax exemptions, which business people have been complaining about. So they are eagerly waiting for that bill to come before the House will eventually adjourn.
Let's delve into the issues raised by Energy Minister John Peter Amewu about the power grid sabotage earlier this week, as he decides to put it. We know that the minority spokesperson on energy, Adramotawa Kilu, was not too comfortable with the posturing of the Energy Minister on this matter. But the Energy Minister is insisting on the floor today that indeed it was a sabotage. What exactly has he been saying?
Precisely, he's insisting that those who went to do this are people who wanted to pull brakes on the efforts to provide consistent power to members of the public. And he said the police are looking into this, and he linked that with people who he thinks don't have the interest of the country at hand. And he got that same response from the minority. Al-Hassan Sweeney, who is the MP for Tamale South, was drawing the minister's attention in contributing to the statement that there's been incidents when energy pylons had problems in Kumasi and other areas in the past, 3 years ago. So he thinks the conclusion that it's sabotage is coming to end the day, and that the minister needs to wait for the conclusive investigation by the police into this particular issue. Katie Hammond, who is the Adansa Sukwa MP and member of the Energy Committee, is also contributing to the issue, and he's also similarly been urging caution on how the issue is discussed.
And Joseph, was there any mention about Gridco's own internal investigations? Did he give any update on that?
No, a hint of that wasn't given, except a disclosure by the minister that will cost the state of 500,000 cities to replace the destroyed pylon.
Thank you very much, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo there, our parliamentary correspondent, giving us some updates on what's been happening in Parliament. Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta announced yesterday that government is putting together a bipartisan committee to investigate the depreciation in the value of the cedi. The cedi's performance has left many, especially importers, worried. The committee is expected to be put together in the next 10 days, according to the minister, and will be made up of experts, politicians, and government officials. Speaking to me earlier on News Desk, economist Professor Godfred Mopin says setting up the committee is unnecessary. He explains.
My first reaction is that it's not so necessary. If the mandate of the committee is to understand why the cedi depreciates, I don't think that is necessary. In terms of why the cedi depreciates, I do not think that we need a bipartisan committee to understand that. Why the cedi depreciates to a very large extent common today. When you look, I am of the view that this government has the requisite knowledge and expertise in terms of understanding why the cedi depreciates. Certainly they have more than enough. When you look at the series of lectures that Dr. Bawumia gave and various key people in this government when they were in opposition, I think that you do know. On another bet, I tend to sympathize with the minister when he says we need a bipartisan committee to understand, because in this country everything particularly is politicized, and that itself does not help us in coming out with a broad-based solution backed by the necessary political will and the heat of the citizens or the electorate of Ghanaians. From perspective, one sympathize with the minister. Because for a minister to make such a statement, certainly it's correct. We cannot just discuss that totally, because the way we see things in this country and put things in this country lack the minimum objectivity that Ghana deserves from every Ghanaian in terms of how do we move forward. We don't have that character. If you see how issues are discussed, how issues are presented in Parliament, out of Parliament, everywhere, radio stations, even in academia and all of that, I think the political bias tends to cloud our objectivity.
Okay.
And it's Ghana that suffers at the end of the day. From that perspective, one could say that fine. So, but the point is, if this committee come out, what would they come out different from what we are already aware of?
A Wager Circuit Court has granted bail to a commercial driver and his conductor accused of assaulting a police officer. A team of 9 lawyers led by Martin People argued their clients will only remain safe if they are removed from the custody of the police. My colleague Joseph Akable spoke to the Industrial Relations Officer of the GPRTU, Ibrahim Abbas.
Happy. You can see what happens at the court. We have as many as 9 lawyers defending our driver. He's not a GPRTU member, but he's a driver. And we are all professional drivers. We felt it is necessary because there are so many questions we have to ask. The incident which involves that driver and the police officer. The police officer was officially stationed there. What happens? And what prompted the fighting? So many issues. You see, so honestly, I must say, I'm very happy we have secured the needed points which has qualified us to the next World Cup. They have been put on bail to have very good medical care before Monday. On the 1st, if inshallah, if God permits, we shall be here to make sure we continue with the journey.
The mother of the driver who stand in trial also spoke to Joy News.
Si ani ka chen se wosika na mba ne se ni sika wo ho na mba ne se enti ye ni sika mo ye hwe me nua na na osu enti wo ho no wo fie wa ma ye kura ti echi no fra me ba no se wo cheche ba bia e bi ko hu akura no e ko bi sa se oba no te sen ni suban te sen ya den na be ka se oba tan ya wo na wo ba wo na ni mo ba no oh me ba ne dia nyame so na be kai me ba no jai ne hu ni ahwe woni abjese won pekasa ento ko die won pe kasa woni obi ampo kasa wo fie tufutuo woni me kasa phone so se maame hwo hu ye wo se me so hwo hu ye wo se maame na de wo de wo na ahia me na me de me abemo a me ni hu ni ase me se wo na me so na me so timba ne de me kasha wurade ne munyam se adanse de ne nkofo di ne ho one and so no or your draban. We are school no, my yes can't one so I'm this year drabby school. And I mean, I would have when you say, I'm be
You have the mother of the driver who's been charged with assaulting a uniformed police officer. She's basically explaining that her son is a quiet person and that she actually got him to enter that profession when she could not afford to pay his fees to further his education. She's just insisting that her son is not who we saw in that particular video. He usually is a quiet person. But there was no representation by the police or state prosecutors, despite the lawyers of the driver and his conductor saying they had served the Attorney General's office and the police, informing them of the application for bail. The court admitted the two to bail to the tune of 10,000 cedis each with 2 sureties. And we know that the case has been adjourned to April 1. Let's do some other stories now. The impasse at the University of Education, Winneba, UEW, has taken a new twist. Now, some members of the UEW local chapter of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, want their national executives to refrain from meddling in the affairs of the school. The group believes its national executives have failed to ensure peace and order. They accuse them of inflaming passions and causing unnecessary fear and panic among students and lecturers. On Tuesday, national executives of UTAG demanded the immediate resignation of Vice-Chancellor Reverend Professor Anthony Afo-Bruni, accusing him of orchestrating the removal of his predecessor, Professor Mauto Avoke, and the subsequent sacking of some lecturers and staff. But the group, calling itself Concerned UTAG Members, disagrees. They want UTAG National President Dr. Eric Opoku to rather resign. Here's spokesperson for the lecturers, Eric Sechi Nketiah.
That we wish to categorically state, without any degree of contradiction, that UTAG national executives do not have the locus and power to speak on the current development at UW as they purport to do, in as much as they forfeited that locus and power through an abdication of their responsibility to consult us on current matters in which we have the greatest interest. Again, we reject and dismiss UTAG national posturing of arrogating unto itself the power to represent us, purporting to speak for us and on our behalf, and attempting to coerce us into accepting what they falsely seek to put into the public domain on issues affecting our university. Again, we unequivocally remain steadfastly and solidly behind the UEW Vice-Chancellor, the very Reverend Father Professor Anthony Afo-Bruni, and the Chairman of the Governing Council, Professor Emmanuel Nicholas Abakan, and urge the two leaders to remain at post because we are behind them, maintain their mature composure, which they have done so in the face of extreme provocation, and help steer the affairs of this our great university to even greater heights.
We reached out to UTAG National President Dr. Eric Opoku-Mensah. He's declined public comment on the matter for now. He says UTAG will release a statement by close of day today. In other news, members of the Federation of University Senior Staff Association at the University of Cape Coast have given the university's management up to the 15th of April to restore all their overtime allowances and pay all arrears due them to avoid a partial withdrawal of their services. According to the Federation, whereas all other universities across the country are following a letter written by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission for universities to manage such overtime allowances, the University of Cape Coast has failed to do so. Speaking after a demonstration at the university, General Secretary of UTAG UCC, George Kwashi, demanded the university to restore all allowances with immediate effect.
Allowances. And currently, we are referring to the letter that Fair Wages and Salary Commission wrote on Monday. On Tuesday, that is 19th March 2019, that the university management should manage the overtime through the normal administrative procedures, pending the review of the matter. So, again, we are telling the university management to work by the Fair Wages and Salary Commission statement. Whatever they have said, we know for sure that some other sister universities are doing. We can count of Lagos. Though they do not pay this month, but they have assured the members concerned that the following month they will restore their overtime allowance. As we speak to you now, KUNST, that is Kumasi, they have been paid with their overtime. As we speak now, they have been paid. Therefore, we are telling university management to do so. On this note, we are saying that all other petitions that we have brought on board, we want them to take action. Therefore, we are saying that in spite of all these resolutions that we, the union, has forwarded to them, we are giving them up to 15th of next month, April 2019, to one, restore all overtime allowances, and two, to pay all arrests, especially that of our security. Again, we are saying that failure to do so will, one, leave a gap between the hours of 0600.
Good morning, sir.
I am a professor. Why are research professor? Fantastic. What's that? And you want to the me on your easy there, but also it's products on human life. Sadamina was the other channel of Winnie Park. That's what from why you and meditate 7 years.
Away from the University of Cape Coast, residents of Ashomang, Abokobi, Boy and Pantang are angry about the poor state of roads in their communities. They complained they've tried on many occasions to get authorities to fix the roads, but their efforts have yielded no results. Patricia Roxon-Hammond reports that some youth in those communities have resorted to filling potholes with sand to make the roads motorable, but at a cost.
Drivers hardly keep straight on this road here in Abokobi. They always veer off into other lanes and sometimes drive dangerously only on the shoulders of the road to avoid slumping into terrible potholes. In fact, many parts of the Abokobi township are yet to taste bitumen and gravels. Ashomang to Abokobi, Pantang to Abokobi, Abokobi to Boy all have terrible roads.
From Agbogba, there through this place to the Pantang is not good at all. This have been done 3 years ago. So I don't know what we are waiting for. I'm coming. Or are they waiting for election time before they will come and start something about it? If there is a pregnant woman, you are taking her to Pantang Hospital, you cry. You are a woman.
In fact, young quantity, you fast for so many years, in more than 10 to 12 years.
Several appeals to authorities have fallen on deaf ears. The roads are very terrible and we are suffering here.
Village, Boy, from Abokobi to Pantang Junction still. From Abokobi to Ahmadiyya Road, me
a truck driver,
I am a truck driver, and every time I drive on this road, the residents complain about the dust. We have many influential people living here, but our roads are terrible.
Some parts of the road, though not tarred, are smooth, but leaves pedestrians to contend with the dust when vehicles drive by. Foster Abuaje is an engineer at Ga East District Assembly.
Now the issue is two on me. Either to scalify the road and make it a gravel road, or to fill the potholes, the patching. Just use some gravel to be patching the holes for the road to be a little more trouble. So that is what I'm discussing with my chief executive and director. I think yesterday we had a meeting on it and we are still working out to see what we should do on the roads. The major problem I have is if the roads are scalified, we will expose the gravel material. And as we are heading towards the rainy season, it will wash out. So maybe what the best alternative is to fill the holes with gravel for the meantime. That should be a routine. When it wash out, we fill. When it wash out, we fill until the road is awarded to a contractor to come on it.
Residents are upset about the terrible nature of their roads and want government to work on them urgently.
Politicians convince us during election campaigns, but after voting, we don't see any development. The roads get very bad when it rains, and it gets worse during the dry season.
Seeing the Abokobi road is terrible. You seeing the
Hacho Road is terrible. You see the Tema Road is terrible. And we don't even know which road to use again.
Patricia Roxanne Hammond, Joy News.
Ghana's prison system is said to have begun with the establishment of a facility at the Cape Coast Castle even before the official creation of the Gold Coast colony. By 1948, there were 29 of them across the colony under an Inspector General of Prisons. One of them, built in 1930, still stands at the ancient town of Kokofu in the Ashanti region. Over the years, its use has gone from a pin-out center to a clinic and presently a police station. Its changing faces seems incomplete as authorities contemplate converting it into a tourist site. Nana Senso-Mensah has been interacting with chiefs and people of Kokofu on the significance of the pre-independence facility for Ghana Month.
Take the shackles off my feet. Make I go, make I go. It's a battle with the beast. Take your shield, here we go.
Women used to come and deliver their babies here. They came from nearby villages. After they delivered their babies, then leave back to their own villages.
From a prison to maternity clinic and now a police station. The antique pre-independence maximum security facility is relevant to the people. Anytime I see this edifice, it reminds me of the old days when the prison was operational. One can never leave out Kokofu when chronicling the origin of Asante Kingdom and its heritage. About 43 kilometers or averagely 1 hour 15 minutes drive from Kumasi lies Kokofu on the southwest. History has it the Asante Kingdom originated here and spread across Kumasi through to Ahafo and Bono areas of Ghana as well as part of Cote d'Ivoire. It is unclear why one of the few early prisons in Gold Coast was sited in this famous town. Built with 8-inch width brick, fortified with iron, it sits on a 2-acre land. This is where prisoners were kept by the British during the pre-independence era. Berima Okunji Esuo of Fin II is present on Mahine of Kokofu.
And I was then in class 3. So actually I was witness to what happened. The one in charge of food gave a ration to some of the prisoners to cook at the right time. The food must be ready by 4:30. They eat, and by 5:36 they should be in their cells. But when the man returned after 5, it was the time that the prisoners were getting the food ready to be cooked. It means that they had neglected their work. So this prison warder who had got drunk, supposedly trying to punish the prisoners by giving them lashes, took a cutlass and slashed the head of one of the prisoners. The man died on the spot. And it was reported to the KOP that the prison officer, he brought trucks and sent all the prisoners to Obuasi, and that was the end of the full prisons. So the prison which was opened in 1931 was closed in 1947 after this incident, the same day.
Despite attempts to reshape the prison, little has been achieved. Berima often believes it will serve little or no purpose if the old age facility is made a tourist center because of low level, especially of domestic visits.
We can set it aside as tourist attraction, but it does not attract much. nobody would like to be a prisoner. So they won't appreciate going to prison room to see nothing, no prisoner there. Yes.
Aspirations are mixed among chiefs and people of Kokofu on how to maintain and utilize the almost 90-year-old building they hold so dearly. Many people, however, appear inclined to tap into it to attract tourists and generate revenue for the local assembly. Koku Che Bafo is Municipal Chief Executive for Bekwai.
But why not? We have to take it up at what we have to do to this edifice to turn into a tourist attraction.
Irrespective of what metamorphosis the old prison goes through, its historical identity as a symbol of oppression and human rights abuse will forever linger on the minds of natives. Nana Asensu-Mensah reporting.
Naming ceremonies are believed to formally usher in newborns into the world. This function is highly esteemed by the Gas, as it, among others, establishes the personality of the baby for the rest of his or her life. Outdooring in Ga is Bujimo, and families go great lengths to ensure this tradition is carried out on the 8th day after the child is born. Joy News' Beryl Ernestina Richter takes a look at the outdooring and naming ceremony of the Gas and the peculiar features of the ceremony.
Here in Asafwa Chesaban's family house at Osukinkanwe, cries of a baby is heard after he is lifted to the skies and is shown to what the Gas call Chochobi. Senior linguist of Osu Traditional Council, Nina Atobi Oberima Inso, says careful scrutiny of a person's character is done by the baby's paternal family on who to outdoor and name the child. In this case, Edwin Lekwe Edwards is the man selected. In what is a typical traditional rite, the godfather raises the child 3 times to the skies and put the child on the bare floor, invoking the blessings of the gods and ancestors over the baby, while stepping over the baby 3 times. When the baby cries after cold water is sprinkled on him or her, it signals its acceptance to be part of the family. Paternal granduncle Lekwe Edwards dips a finger into corn wine and drops it on the tongue of the baby and tells the child, According to the Ga tradition, if a child dies before the 8th day, it is deemed as if the child never lived, because the Gas believe every living being must have a name. But these days, there seems to be a gradual shift from performing these rites on the 8th day. Here is senior linguist of Osu Traditional Council, Nina Atobi Oberima Nsu, expressing worry over that. Over the years, there have been concerns about the gradual erosion of certain aspects of Ga culture, like the Kojemo, due to the denigration and demonization of the traditional values that were once dear to the Ga people. Many have accused the church for the trend.
What I see is that some kind of ignorance, or rather, if you like, some kind of teachings in some of the churches that tend to bastardize everything traditional.
I have come to the Presbyterian Church of Ghana Adabraka Ascension Congregation, where Reverend Ludwig Niels Hesse is conducting a naming ceremony.
Dromo, Obapa, this is water.
He disagrees with the assertion that the church is taking over the role of the family in this tradition.
The only thing that is not good is that they put the baby on the ground. That somebody will drum the baby and all that is. And when the water is very cold, the baby can have infection. So we are not trying to shun away or throw away the culture, but we are bringing the culture into the church.
Here at La, Ni Nyanyo Abentia Way, Prophetess Linda Tego of Christ Miracle Salvation Ministry is here to perform the outdooring and naming rites for a baby from the Nyanyo family. She also disagrees that the church is taking over the role of the family. Father of the baby, Adla Abentiawe, Jonas Tetenyanyo, believes showing the baby toward the gas called Chochobi exposes the child to all kinds of evil spirits. However, Dr. Dote says it is dangerous for the church to arrogate to itself the authority of the family during such traditional practices.
Ojimo, or if you like, christening ceremony belongs to the family. And I wish that the church doesn't usurp it. Because the church is weaker if the family, if the clan is weak.
A name is a person's truest form of identity. It goes deeper and gives meaning to its lineage and ancestry. Without a name, nothing is. That's why for the Gas, a child is never sent out until the Kujimo ceremony, which makes him belong to a family and to a people. Bera and Estina Richter's report for Joy News.
Sure, we've had some insight into the Ga culture there. You're watching News Today with me, Bernice Abubedulan. So we've got business news up shortly.